The film begins in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where our protagonist, Arthur Bishop, is living a tranquil life, attempting to distance himself from his former career as a hitman. He seems to have staged his own death and adopted a new identity to maintain anonymity. Arthur resides on a yacht in a picturesque tourist area by the sea. Each morning, he starts his day with coffee and music before going for a run. As a precaution, he has rigged the boat with a bomb to deter potential thieves. One day, while Arthur is at a familiar seaside restaurant where everyone knows him, he is approached by a stranger named Renee. She claims to have been searching for him and explains that her dangerous boss wants Arthur to discreetly eliminate 3 of his enemies while making their deaths seem natural. Arthur is understandably perplexed and initially tries to walk away, but Renee threatens to expose his location if he refuses. Arthur surveys his surroundings and realizes he is not alone. Several henchmen armed with various weapons are accompanying Renee. When Renee attempts to photograph him, he quickly captures a photo of her instead, catching her off guard. The situation escalates and Renee pulls out a gun. However, before she can use it, Arthur pushes a table toward her, limiting her movements. When the other henchmen attack Arthur simultaneously, he dispatches them effortlessly. Feeling outnumbered, Arthur exploits an opportunity to escape by leaping onto the roof of a passing sky tram. Renee and her men pursue him, trying to shoot him from inside the tram. Renee even tries to climb up to him, but Arthur daringly jumps onto the back of a hang glider, successfully evading his pursuers. Upon returning to his boat that night, Arthur discovers suspicious individuals inspecting it. In response, he activates the strategically placed emergency bombs, causing the expensive yacht to explode, eliminating the immediate threats. Following these events, Arthur goes to an old container where he stores weapons and tools, including forged passports and mobile phones. He collects some money and relocates to a secluded island in Thailand, reuniting with his friend May, who allows him to stay in his untouched hut. Arthur enters May's room after May departs and reveals a hidden cache of weapons and tools beneath the wooden floor. Determined to protect himself and investigate Renee, Arthur begins to dig into her background using a secret system. He uploads the photo he took of Renee and uncovers her connection to a dangerous criminal named Crain, an individual with whom Arthur has a dark history. The next day, a woman named Gina arrives at May's beach resort, seeking first aid for her injuries. May notices her bruises and inquires about them, but Gina remains silent and leaves. That night, May hears screams from a nearby boat and witnesses Gina being mistreated by a man named Frank. Concerned for her safety, May appeals to Arthur for help, even though Arthur is initially reluctant to get involved. Nevertheless, out of a sense of responsibility to May, he investigates the incident through binoculars and goes to the boat. Despite attempting to reason with Frank, a physical altercation ensues, and Frank accidentally dies during the struggle. When Gina discovers Frank's lifeless body, she faints. May brings her safely to shore while Arthur searches the boat. To his surprise, he finds a gun, Gina's passport, and a phone with a picture of himself. Troubled by this discovery, Arthur sets the boat on fire and returns to the hut. He wakes Gina and, showing her the picture, confronts her about her connection to Crain. Initially reluctant to speak, Gina eventually admits that she was coerced into working for Crain, who has something significant over her. Gina proceeds to reveal her past, explaining that she once operated a shelter for human trafficking victims in Cambodia. Life was relatively normal until Crain's henchmen killed one of her staff members and forced her into accepting their mission, threatening to harm the children under her care. The following day, Arthur notices a boat with men observing the shore and suspects they have been sent by Crain to monitor Gina's mission. To divert their attention, Arthur and Gina pretend to be a couple by engaging in traditional Thai customs. As the evening unfolds, Gina apologizes to Arthur for involving him in her perilous situation. Simultaneously, Arthur shares his own painful history, revealing his upbringing as an orphan sold to a gangster who trained child soldiers. He discloses that he and Crain were close during those difficult times, but that he fled, leaving his friend behind when things became tough. Arthur believes this is the reason for Crain's vendetta against him. As they continue sharing their life stories, their bond grows stronger, and they spend the night together. After assuring Gina of her safety, Arthur reveals his plan to take down Crain and promises not to carry out the 3 requested killings. Instead, he intends to eliminate Crain himself. He entrusts Gina with his father's watch, a cherished memento from his past, and asks her to safeguard it in his absence. Their plans take an unexpected turn when a group of police officers arrives at the beach the next day, one of whom is identified as a member of Crain's operation. Arthur attempts to fend them off, but is overpowered, and Gina is abducted. To secure her release, Arthur agrees to meet Crain, and they finally meet face to face after many years. Crain presents Arthur with a daunting ultimatum. To free Gina, he must carry out 3 discrete killings, making them appear natural. The initial target on Arthur's list is Krill, a notorious arms dealer imprisoned in Malaysia with high security measures in place. In preparation, Arthur acquires various disguised explosives, shark repellent concealed in a skin cream container, and a hidden capsule in a cigarette. He also assumes a false identity and masquerades as a wanted criminal. While strolling the streets of Malaysia, Arthur is apprehended by the police and taken into custody, leading to his imprisonment. Within the Malaysian prison, Arthur gathers intelligence on Krill and discovers that his henchmen continually shadow him due to numerous threats on his life. Skillfully, Arthur obtains a knife during a lunchtime encounter with another inmate and intervenes when a former henchman tries to assassinate Krill, saving his life. Impressed by his actions, Krill invites Arthur to dinner, agreeing to leave his men outside. Arthur seizes this opportunity to carry out his mission and successfully eliminates Krill, orchestrating the act to appear as if Krill committed a heinous act. To facilitate his escape, Arthur distracts Krill's men, instructing them not to disturb Krill during his prayer. He activates the security alarm and uses the explosive gum to create an opening in the prison wall. Arthur also ingests a tracking pill provided by Crain and employs shark repellent to slip into the water unnoticed. He manages to evade capture, subsequently rejoining Crain's men on a fishing boat waiting for him in the middle of the ocean. In the subsequent scene, Crain presents video evidence of Gina's safety and assigns the next target, Adrian Cook, a human trafficker located in Australia. Crain imposes a strict 36-hour deadline for Arthur to eliminate this target. Without delay, Arthur undertakes thorough surveillance and learns that Cook's penthouse is heavily fortified, except for a cantilever pool extending over the streets. Arthur devises a plan to infiltrate Cook's penthouse from below. To execute this, he adopts the persona of a wealthy individual, scheduling a meeting with the building's realtor. During the meeting, Arthur feigns interest in purchasing an apartment located directly beneath Cook's penthouse and discreetly duplicates the keys. The following day, disguised as a skilled technician, Arthur embarks on his mission. Using the duplicated key, he gains entry to the apartment presented by the realtor and accesses a glass shield enabling him to climb to the swimming pool above. He reaches beneath the pool, drills a hole, and sets up a specialized explosive device. Cook unexpectedly discovers Arthur's presence, but before he can call for help, the glass shatters, resulting in his demise. Meanwhile, Crain watches the incident on the news and appreciates Arthur's cunning tactics. Later, during a video call, Gina subtly provides Arthur with information about the boat's hull number, positioning herself near a window. Arthur uses this information to trace the boat's location through the hull number, hires a helicopter, and flies to the identified spot. In the subsequent scene, Arthur stealthily infiltrates the boat and eliminates the guards one by one. However, he is eventually captured while attempting to rescue Gina. Shortly thereafter, Crain appears and warns Arthur against making any further attempts to defy him, as any such action will result in Gina's immediate execution. Subsequently, Arthur receives his final target, Max Adams, an American arms dealer safeguarded within a heavily fortified fortress. After some investigation, Arthur becomes aware that Crain is utilizing these assignments to eliminate his competition in the arms trade, causing Arthur to question the mission's intent. Nevertheless, he proceeds with his plan, taking out one of Adams' guards from a distance before concealing himself in an emergency helicopter to reach Adams' fortress. Inside the fortress, Arthur skillfully disables security cameras with a jammer and neutralizes the guards. As the building goes into high alert, Adams is guided to his panic room, but Arthur delays their progress by causing elevator malfunctions. Surprisingly, when Adams arrives in the panic room, Arthur is already inside, awaiting his arrival. Instead of immediately killing him, Arthur proposes an alliance with Adams to take down Crain. Adams is convinced to cooperate, and they launch a scheme to fake Adams' death. A while later, while Adams is inspecting his submarines, a carefully planned explosion takes place, causing him to become submerged. However, Arthur is prepared for the underwater scenario and rescues Adams, ensuring their safe return to the nearest beach. Simultaneously, Crain witnesses the incident on television, and news reports suggest that Adams is buried underwater due to the explosion. In the aftermath, Arthur contacts Crain over the phone, claiming responsibility for the third kill. However, Crain remains skeptical until he sees concrete evidence of Adams' demise, demanding to view Adams' dead body first. Arthur urges Crain to visit Adams' submarine to locate his lifeless body. Eager to confirm the kill, Crain instructs his men to find Adams' body and deal with Arthur once and for all. Before reaching the specified location, Arthur arranges a series of deadly traps. As Crain's henchmen descend one by one, they fall victim to Arthur's carefully orchestrated traps or Arthur's stealthy attacks. With each passing moment, Crain becomes increasingly aware that Arthur poses a significant threat to his plans. Recognizing that he is the next target, Crain resorts to using Gina as bait by placing her outside on the boat to lure Arthur. As Arthur approaches underwater, he confronts Gina standing near the helipad. He launches a fierce assault against Crain's guards, eliminating them one by one. Gina attempts to assist but sustains an injury during the confrontation. Observing her injury, Arthur secures her inside an emergency release pod, ensuring her safety. Following this, he eliminates all of Crain's henchmen and finally confronts Crain in a brutal hand-to-hand showdown. Realizing that all of his men have been eliminated, Crain activates the bomb on the boat. A tense fight unfolds between the two, but Arthur quickly gains the upper hand, securing Crain to the boat with an anchor chain. Within moments, the boat explodes, seemingly resulting in their mutual demise. From a distance, Gina watches in despair, believing that Arthur has sacrificed himself to eliminate Crain. Heartbroken, she returns to Cambodia with the children, seeking solace in her work. Days turn into months, and Gina gradually moves on from the ordeal. However, one morning, Arthur surprisingly reappears. He appears to be in perfect health, taking Gina by surprise. Meanwhile, Adams investigates the remains of Crain's boat, uncovering the ingenious plan that enabled Arthur's escape. He discovers video evidence of a diving bell, a chamber containing trapped air that enabled Arthur to survive the explosion. Impressed by Arthur's resourcefulness, Adams decides to erase the security footage to protect Arthur's future. The movie concludes with Arthur's survival remaining a closely guarded secret. Arthur and Gina are finally free from Crain's influence, and their reunion marks the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, brimming with hope and the promise of a brighter future. If you found this summary helpful, please subscribe for more content, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.